falling for nobody else but you. You caught my eye, and I've got a feeling I'm falling.
Hi everybody, welcome to Cooking with Jean. I'm Jean Lanahan from East Wind Lobster and Grill. We're located on the Buzzards Bay Wareham line. If you haven't found us yet, please come in and give us a try. Today we are making something very simple yet oh so decadent. The star of our show today is this lobster. We're making lobster mac and cheese.
But I've got a feeling I'm falling for nobody else but you.
What we've already done is we've cooked 1.5 pounds lobster. So I'm going to shuck this lobster. While we shuck the lobster and work on a cheese sauce, I'm going to cook up some pasta. Today we're going to be using a penne pasta. My other favorite is a rotini pasta. And I also like to use a cavatappi, which is a kind of a noodly, it looks like a combination, somewhere between a rotatini and an elbows. So we also use elbows, but today we're going to use a penne pasta, which is what we use in the store. And this has become a very popular dish in the restaurant. We serve it every day. So let's get started. Pasta is going in. It's going to take about 8 or 10 minutes. We want it a little bit al dente. And this is when I add the salt. The salt is not only for flavoring, but it definitely helps with keeping the pasta from sticking too much. As I've said, this is a 1.5 pound local lobster, which is a hard shell lobster caught in our local waters. It's going to be interesting to show you that when we shuck this lobster, we take all the meat out, how much meat we get in a 1.5 pound lobster. You're going to be kind of amazed. So let me get to that. These are what you call the knuckles, which is for some the absolute sweetest part of the meat. Other people, their favorites are the claws. 2 different claws here. This is called a ripper. This is called a crusher. These are hard shells, so I'm definitely going to need a cracker here. If all goes right, one snap should hit the lobster meat. Intact is the claw. These for Mom on Mother's Day. Mom's love lobster mac and cheese. Out comes the tail. I didn't say this wasn't going to be messy because it's pretty messy. This is actually a female lobster. This is kind of interesting to show you. This peels back, and if you see the red, this is called the roe. Again, a delicacy to many. So some people will come into the store and ask for females, and for that reason, because they want the roe. This is just discarded. We'll rinse this lobster off in a minute. But there is the tail. I'm going to break it up as we go because that's what we're going to do anyway. Okay, this is the fresh meat from a 1.5 pound lobster. And as you can see on the scale, it's not even 1/2 pound. It's just over 1/4 pound. Again, this is fine for what we're doing. We're making a lobster mac and cheese. So the cheese sauce is going to be so rich. Let's go and work the cheese sauce and add the lobster meat. Okay, we have our penne pasta is coming to a nice boil here. We just shucked our lobster meat. What I'm using is a good old-fashioned wok to make our cheese sauce. And all my ingredients are right here. We'll just add one at a time. We're going to add our ingredients to the pan that's warming over there. This is about a stick of butter. This is about 8 ounces of cream cheese. I'm going to add these at the same time. I am adding, you can play with the cheeses again. This is a sharp, it's just a Cabot Vermont Sharp. This is about a cup of cheese. I'm going to add that now. Two other cheeses we're adding. This is a Parmesan cheese. So in an Alfredo sauce, what I would use is the butter, the cream, and a Parmesan. So this gives it a nice little kick. It's not going to turn into a complete, different flavor, but it's going to add a nice little density. Cheddar cheese. Can't go without cheddar cheese. So again, 1/2 cup of Parmesan, about 1 cup of cheddar cheese. My secrets is my house spice. I'm going to add probably about 1 teaspoon of that. That has our salt and pepper and some secret spices in there. This, nutmeg. Whenever I'm making a cream sauce or a cheese sauce, nutmeg is a definite just adds a whole dimension of just earthiness. It's really nice. So just a few sprinkles of that, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. Sort of makes it an adult flavor as well. It gives it a little bit of something different. Another little secret that I put in here is some spicy mustard. My mother always did, so now I do. It's kind of the way it goes. Just a nice Dijon spicy mustard, maybe a teaspoon. You're going to smell that cooking. It's going to smell really delicious. Okay, now comes the cream, the half and half. You could use a heavier cream. You don't need to. You could also make a roux, which is a flour and butter to thicken your cheese sauce. But I think for me, I don't like to add flour if I don't need to. I think the cream cheese does its work in here and definitely thickens the sauce more naturally.
I'm flying high, but I've got a feeling
Penny pasta, we're going to do it just sort of an al dente. Now it's time for the star of the show, which is the lobster. Nothing magic, because all I'm going to do is take the lobster. Again, that's a little over a quarter of a pound. And just an FYI, if you come to our store and get a lobster mac and cheese, this is the amount of lobster you get on your mac and cheese, which is the equivalent to 1 1/2 pound lobster. So we're pretty generous. I'm just going to add a dash of butter to this. And a sprinkle of cheddar cheese, because cheddar is my favorite in mac and cheese. Just going to let that warm up. Nothing fancy. What we do is we top our mac and cheese with the lobster. Instead of mixing it all through, we put it right on the top. So it's a nice little topping. It's all lobster. I am now going to just roll this in. It's going to be very cheesy, just the way we want it. Okay, it's going to fold this in. The pasta is going to continue to cook. And if a little bit of the starch water went in here, it's not a bad thing. It's going to help to thicken the sauce a little bit.
and I've got a feeling I'm falling. Show me the ring and I'll jump right through. I used to.
Just to make it pretty, a little bit of parsley on top.
I'm flying high, but I've got a feeling I'm falling, falling for nobody else but me.
It works. Good.
Well, thank you for joining us. This was one delicious show. We made a lobster mac and cheese. We cooked the lobster a little bit ahead of time, which was a huge time saver. And other than that, this dish was pulled together in the time that it takes to cook the pasta. So we all just had a nice little tasting, and there's actually more for later, so pretty excited about that. Hope to see you next time. Next week we will be cooking fish in parchment. I'm going to do different types of fish in parchment paper with spring vegetables, so stay tuned.
I used to. I used to.